Hey, welcome back to Say You Look Tired. Here with Claire, Dan's still away. And yeah, last episode of the guest one. As we said in the last episode, there'll be a code in the link below if you want to join Classroom Secrets, if you want to try it out. I think it's so useful having stuff like that. Just, it gives you a bit more balance, gives you a bit more time to think. And as we've mentioned on other ones, like the amount you invest in actual people to do the research and do it, like it's going to give you a better product than if you are doing it in your bedroom at 10 o'clock at night. And I think that's the biggest thing with it, isn't it? Like it's giving teachers the time back and a better product.
Yeah. More time to do the things that you love.
Yeah.
That's quite important to me, really. Sometimes it's family time, isn't it? Sometimes it's climbing on Saturday morning at the local climbing thing. I don't know why I came up with that. I don't do any climbing, but you see what I mean? Everybody's got their hobbies, and sometimes I think teaching makes that take a back seat, or you think I can only do that in the school holidays.
Oh, 100%. And do you know what? So many I see who come to me like talk about not just losing the love for teaching, but also kind of losing themselves. And I think our next topic, like the thing we're going to talk about, can be really interesting with that, because like ChatGPT and AI and everything coming in, I think it could go one way or the other for teachers. So the first way is, which I think it will, like you've got the likes of Leah, ICT Mr. P, they've made TeachMate, isn't it? Where that's an AI system which helps you. And I'm sure like as you evolve, like all your stuff's going to lean towards it and things like that, where it's going to make teaching easier, make planning easier, make marking easier, make everything easier. But the other side of me looks at it and goes, there's so much to do with it. It could actually like build more workload, because now we're in a place where like if I was teaching, if I want an image, I can type it in and get it. Do you know what I mean? Which we've never had before.
No.
Like if I wanted to create a story, I can put it in. If I want to get the kids really engaged in the lesson, I can be like, at the end, I'll put your stories into ChatGPT and ask it to make a photo. Do you know, like where you're getting that little incentive?
Yeah.
But then that's going to create more work. For you, where do you see it? Like ChatGPT, AI in general going in schools?
Yeah. So I think it's very difficult, isn't it? I think there are some teachers that are embracing it, and I think there are other teachers that may be a bit frightened of it, and I understand that. It's definitely going to be like this tightrope, I think. Because all the education companies, we're all looking at AI and we're seeing how we can use that. But then there's also this sense, especially for us, where we want to make sure that that's correct, because you know you can put something into ChatGPT and it'll spit something out, but you still need that expert eye. And what's really interesting is, even in our family situation, my husband, he's the other founder, but his background is in technology. And so, you know, one of the things he says to me often is, when we think about our own children, so my eldest is 9, if we put something in ChatGPT and it spits out something that's not quite right, then we have that awareness. We've got that critical thinking which says, that's not quite right. I need to do it this way or that way. But she wouldn't be able to do that. She doesn't have that knowledge. And so in a way, it's being able to harness it for teachers and for children in a way that we can think, hang on, is this right? Is this right now for my children? And for children being able to do that as well. And I think the part of the problem could be is that we de-skill, and then we have less of that critical thinking in the right areas. I suppose that depends on what the teacher training ends up being like when we use AI more. But say, for example, you've got a resource and you want to differentiate it, then it's amazing. But you are going to have to do that extra at this point, I think, which says, can I just make sure this is right?
Yeah. Do you know what? I think what's funny with that, because I do a lot of, I'll bounce my posts off it and I'll ask it, you know, can you find any stats to back this up? And can you find this? And now and again, it will give me a stat. So I always ask it now, can you give me the sources and check these? But now and again, it used to give me a stat, which I would know was wrong. And I'd ask it, and say, are you sure this stat's right? And it would go, oh no, it's not, sorry.
Yeah.
And it just made up a stat.
Yeah.
And it's the same with that. Like if you are doing something for the children, it is making sure it's right and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be so interesting where schools go with it, because it's going to be one of those, isn't it, where it's either going to be schools are going to ban it and not let teachers use it and push it that way, or it's going to go to the point of like doing everything.
I hope it's not the first one. I hope they don't ban it, because the way I see it as well, if you think about it, in classrooms now, more than ever, there are more needs, really.
Oh, yeah.
There are more needs. And so there is a way, isn't there, I think, going forward, maybe not just ChatGPT, but AI in general, of being able to personalise learning more.
Yeah.
It's whether or not that makes it harder, because when I think about that from a teaching perspective, I'm like, oh my word, I might have had sort of 3 sort of concurrent running themes in my mind that then maybe now it's 10.
Yeah.
And how can you even manage that and pull that together? Now, if there's a way that AI can help with that, great. But if it's just allowing us to, well, obviously we want to personalise learning, but if that's making it too complicated,
Yeah.
do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%. And the only reason why I say I can see it being banned is like twofold. First, I know the schools already from conversations I've had with teachers where their head has banned them from using ChatGPT on their reports, said they're not allowed anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Which to me is stupid, because for me on a report, the personal comment should be done and should be personal. The rest of it is just generally teacher standards put into things, and it can be a little bit less personal on their English, their maths and stuff like that. But the other side of it as well for me is, if you think of kind of the stigma of like using subscription services when they first come out as you're a lazy teacher, the teacher in the classroom can do it better, all these things. It's going to be the same for ChatGPT right now. While it's in those early stages, that AI, it'll be, if you're a teacher using it, you're lazy.
Yeah. It's so interesting because, I mean, when I read my children's reports, I didn't get the feeling it was done on ChatGPT. But because I was a secondary teacher, I taught dance to every child in Key Stage 3. So there was a lot of copying and pasting anyway. There's going to be, because I taught so many children. And that's what's happening anyway. So if you say, oh, well, a teacher can't use ChatGPT now, there are things that should be taken into account. For example, like you mustn't put children's data in there, especially if you don't have the paid version and all those things. And maybe that's where sometimes I think what happens in school is we have this line where we could make it work, but we don't trust people. And then we go, no, you can't do anything. and that's just unhelpful. So you kind of have to find the middle. But I think if I was using ChatGPT to write a report, I would be thinking about a specific child, and I would probably be putting certain words in that to me would describe the child that maybe don't work in the form of a report. Then it's going to write something that's bespoke to that child.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm not doing that, I'm going to go, who's this child most like? And copy and paste that. So I think it's fine to say, well, let's not use ChatGPT because the teacher's being lazy, but what was happening before that? And is that right?
Yeah.
Because, I never wanted to be the teacher who would copy and paste all those, but I'm not. You give me 2 weeks to do my reports and I've got to do, I don't know, I must have had to do 200 or something, 200
and you've still
reports.
You've still got to teach, you've still got to plan, you've still got to...
Exactly. So of course I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to sort of streamline it in my head to, maybe you've got 3 main comments and then you've got a couple of extra for the outliers. So what I would respond to that is, well, what we're doing now is not really any better.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the way that we're managing to actually cope with that workload. So it's the way to think about it.
I think it is 100% like that. And I think if ChatGPT and AI in general is used properly, can transform teaching. Because I think in one of the other podcasts we said, which I think is really funny, is teachers don't know the curriculum that well because they haven't got time to really sit down and look at it. It's just in that bit like, right, I need this bit at the minute, so we're going to do this.
Yeah, in their particular year group as well.
You could literally use ChatGPT or any AI as like, right, you are basically going to be my AI teaching assistant who is an encyclopedia on the curriculum and see where I can link things. I've got this idea. I think it'd be really good for the kids. How can I link it? Oh, well, you could actually use that with this. Okay, let's make a lesson around that. And I think if you're doing that, you're like using your brain power, you're bouncing ideas, you're bringing it on that way, but not having that like stress and strain of like sieving through everything. Because the standards are ridiculous when you actually look at it. It's like, what, a 50, 100-page document where it's just like all one big PDF where you just have to scroll and read it. And it's no wonder that like people don't know it thoroughly because you just need the bits. I think I looked at the actual standards document once while I was teaching.
Oh, same.
Like the rest of the time it would be, I'd use something, say like Classroom Secrets, and you would have, this has got that standard in it. And I go, okay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And the thing is, and this is why it's important really that education companies are looking at the research and making sure that they are, because we have to be trusted, because a teacher is trusting and saying, hang on a minute, I don't have time to do this, so I'm trusting that you have this covered for me, please. Thank you very much. Especially as, you come to some of the objectives and you're like, that don't give me a lot. You kind of mention like 3 potential topics in one sentence. And I can choose whichever I do. Okay, thanks for that. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it moves forward. I was talking to somebody the other day who was saying that they think they're going to sort of create a training on helping teachers to use ChatGPT better, because some of the tools out there, it's just press a button for this, press a button for that, rather than helping teachers be able to ask the right question that they want for themselves and be able to get the result that they really want by asking ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is behind quite a lot of the a lot of the systems, and it doesn't really give you that creativity or ability to understand how to prompt properly, which is a big element. That's what a human needs to be able to do to use AI.
Oh, 100%. And I think with it, like my biggest advice to anyone using ChatGPT, it'd be treat it like a person. Like if you're treating it like if you're not too sure with the prompts and not too sure, go on ChatGPT and treat it like you had another person in the room with you and be like, hey, I'm thinking about making this lesson. What do you think? Does it hit any of the teacher standards? Oh, brilliant. But a person who can fact check really, really quick and say, can you just check that for me? Okay, perfect. And go through. Because I think when you start to do that, one, it adapts, it learns. It's going to remember what you do. You've always got to remind it. But if you're doing it that way, that's the best training I'd say to anyone. Because I see quite a lot online, because obviously I'm in the fitness space, of people will talk about like social media and that. This is how you use it for this, and this is how you use it for that. And I always think like it's a load of nonsense. I asked ChatGPT once. I said, the way I speak to you, if I started using these prompts like this, would it be better? And it said no. It said like, it's like, think of yourself as a marketing agent of and you go, okay, would that make a difference? And it says no. Like we chat, we talk, I get what you want.
Yeah. And I think it depends sort of how much time you've put into it as well.
Oh, yeah.
But there's definitely something around being able to prompt it properly. And it's interesting because when I'm talking to ChatGPT, so when I record my podcast, because I do use a software that does a transcription, it's really helpful. So now I can... the latest thing that I've started building it as the podcast goes, because I do it on voice messages, and then asking it like, what's the best next question? And I'm like, this is amazing. It really helps me. So you have to actually be good at delegating to use it well. And sometimes as teachers, we're not good at delegating. and we find it hard to pass things on to our teaching assistants. I remember that because I never had a teaching assistant until I went into primary. And then
it's so hard when you get your first teaching assistant.
Exactly.
Don't know what to do.
They're really experienced. It's like, who's this person? You're on supply, so you must be a rubbish teacher. All that kind of mindset. And actually, we don't get very good at delegating, and we think, oh, we can cope with that ourselves. But actually, if you use something like ChatGPT, that will help you delegate. But if you think, right, well, this person, this ChatGPT, cannot be upset with me, so I'm just going to ask it for what I really want, and I'm going to say, no, not like that. Do it like this. And I just think there's so many similarities when I'm using it. I'm thinking of the journey I've had to go on with delegation.
Yeah, and I think delegation is important in school in general, isn't it? Like, I was in cabinet TA is amazing. But that first term with them is always tough because I was the same. Even though I was in primary, first year I didn't have a TA. Second year I did. The first year we had one, but it was like a floated TA between two classes. And then if they needed, someone to go to this class or that class, she'd go there. Second one, I just had a TA. And the first half term, it'd be a going, do you need me to do anything? And I go, yeah, sit with them over there. And it was because I'd had a year of doing everything.
Yeah.
So then when I was thinking about a plan, thinking about the structure, and it took that kind of awkward 6 weeks of that first half term for me to go, when it was off, like have that reflection, go, oh, like I should, like she is going to be there. So I'll plan for her to do stuff. And that's where it come on that way. And I think you're right, like delegation's massive in it. And it's that using stuff and thinking about stuff without just completely relying on it, isn't it? And that's where like AI and the future of it all can be big. If teachers are allowed to do it, it's just planning it, isn't it? It's planning it in for enough, like we were talking about in the last podcast. Everything's about planning it in and building it. But must be exciting for like when you're looking at like a teacher subscription service thinking, what can we do with this? Because it's like a new toy, isn't it, to play with? Not so much to create the resources because you're going to have a human actually taking time and thinking about it, but thinking like, must be so many cool things that can come from it that you're probably experimenting with.
Yeah, we are looking at things, but also don't forget, because we create resources that a teacher made, you got to think about the mindset there as well from our team. Like, hang on a minute, is somebody going to take my job? And so that's got to be carefully managed and make sure that we actually still get the quality and make sure that it does work and that it is research backed and checked by a teacher. And, so I think it is exciting, but in our space, it is also like a concern and something that, we all have to sort of think about. It's like the whole driverless taxi thing. We know that there'll always be people who want taxis, but it's not going to be as many.
Yeah.
And so we have to think about that. And so for us, it's thinking more about how do we still really help and what do teachers really need and how we help them on the journey. It's, when the curriculum changed in 2014, we'd been going about a year. And I remember getting emails from some subscribers asking about the curriculum. like I'd been to some kind of government DFE meeting and they just downloaded it to me. And I was so surprised by that. But I learned a lesson there in that somebody has to sort of stand in that gap.
Yeah.
And that's where an education business can be really helpful. And I think what I learned from that is the more you can support in the transition of things, or how can we support teachers to be able to use AI more? How can we support them in this transition of things might change? Then that is something that's valuable and helpful.
Oh, 100%. And I think what you said there is really important with it, of like being in that gap, being there, having that teacher eye on it. Because what I think is so funny is like teachers who come to me to help with like the health and the fitness. None of it is that they get a magic food that they've never seen before or a magic training plan, or they're like, oh my God, this is there. We always jump on a call first and we'll have a chat, we'll have a talk and go, okay, let's make sure this fits around your life. But the actual key to the success is the fact that they've got my WhatsApp and they've got that voice outside of school to chat to talk to about when it gets frustrated, to reflect on things. And it's having that little bit of support. And I think that's a lot of what teacher subscription services do as well. Because you've got that thing of like, they trust that you have made sure that there is someone there who knows what they're doing. They know if you brought out the AI or a thing of how to use AI or anything like that with it, that it'd be that you've checked it and you've backed it and you've saved them that time. And it's given that trust and it's given that security. And I don't think there's actually many things that give teachers security.
No.
It's kind of like you're left to your own devices. If you get it wrong, we'll blame you.
Exactly. like 100%. And that is a frightening thing. And that runs through our minds as well when we're creating resources around like, are we making sure that we're mitigating that as much as possible? Yeah. Which is a crazy thing, but we think about things like that. Because it's so true.
Well, realistically as well, if a teacher gets a presentation wrong or a PowerPoint wrong, it's not the best thing, but it's for your kids. If you get one wrong, like what you're saying, like thousands of schools, like 30,000 children get the wrong information. It's that thing, isn't it, of being like, right, let's make sure that we're getting this right, that we're building it all, and giving teachers that trust and security.
Yeah, but it is human error as well,
Oh yeah,
and that's a funny thing. You be in a classroom and you can be blamed for any little thing that goes wrong, but at the end of the day, we're all humans, and you'll hear plenty of people talking about Ofsted inspections. That people who when we had the old outstanding grades, people who get outstanding happen to be outstanding in that one lesson. Like, you can't be outstanding all of the time. You might be good most of the time, and then everyone's going to have a lesson that's just not that great. Because at the end of the day, we are human, and it's never going to be 100%.
And that's what always makes me laugh with the thing. If you talk about, there was no like observations, we did observations, and you get really good at doing your outstanding lesson. So rather than going, do you know what, this doesn't work, like everyone's just putting on a show, let's just leave it. Instead they went, now we're going to do random learner walks. We're going to try and find that lesson where you're not very good.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the whole thing. Like, teachers don't get too much trust. Teachers don't get too much backing. They're always the bad guys. Even when it comes to the government will promise. They're not fund. And then teachers get blamed for not doing it.
Yeah.
And it's that thing with it all of like, I think having services that help teachers is massive because it gives you that trust, security, that help. The amount of teachers that I work with who sometimes just need someone to voice note their frustrations at school. Sometimes just need someone to say, listen, that's fine. You've had a chocolate bar. Don't worry about it. Like, it's not going to do any damage. And I think that's the big one with everything. And I think that's how moving forward in teaching can be. And I think AI can give that release as long as it's done in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that it doesn't get banned. I think with all these things, it's sort of how it happens, isn't it? When I was on supply, there was this one school that I went to, and the head teacher would always sort of look through the window and would come into the classroom when I was teaching. But it was the way it was done. It wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. And I got the impression just from the way that he was doing it, he wasn't coming to check up on me. He was coming to check that the children were behaving for a visitor in school. Yeah. And I think it's just, using AI is the same thing. Like, what are the expectations of that, and how are you going to communicate that, and what are the feelings around it for staff in the school? How do you make sure that it's not taken the wrong way? Yeah. How do you make sure that it's taken the right way?
Oh, 100%. And I think it's such a good one. I think it's probably a good place for us to wrap up the episode and stuff like that. But I think it's so useful, everything. And I just hope AI can become another support for teachers. The same way subscriptions are now, but definitely 10 years ago, it was, I'm not saying they weren't a support then, but they were definitely seen from above as lazy.
Yeah.
You're skiving if you're using that. Cut off the name. Change. I knew some schools where they would say, if you've got a subscription, change the PowerPoint. Like make your own PowerPoint on their PowerPoint so that people will think it's your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And
I've heard that like cut it off. And we talk about that as well. We don't want to be in that position where they're saying cut off the classroom secrets label, because I don't think we're in that boat.
No.
But I know what you're talking about. And we do have conversations around how do we not get into that position.
Yeah.
And I suppose you got to say, well, what level of control do you have over that? Probably not very much.
Yeah, and it's just about being that support the same way like the subscriptions are. And I hope AI can become it as well. Just give teachers that more trust, that more support so that they can just thrive and live life a bit more.
Yeah. Time. They need time.
100%. But now, good place for us to wrap up. Thanks for coming on for the 4 episodes. They've been class.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had such a lovely day.
And do you know what? In every episode, I forgot to say, where can people find you? But I always forget because it's Classroom Secrets.
Oh, yeah. So classroomsecrets.co.uk. Come and look. Do you know what? We've got courses now as well.
Oh, nice.
So, just come and see what we've done recently if you haven't been for a while.
Oh, no. Perfect. But we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, guys. And we'll see you next week. Bye now.